Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power.
So let's give Lourin center stage here, and we'll introduce our congressional candidate guest here, and then we'll play a game with him. So I'd like everyone to meet our guest this week. He is running for Congress in California 22, unless they change the number here in the coming days. I know they're doing some redistricting, but he is aiming to unseat Devin Nunes. So welcome to the show, Lourin Hubbard.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Happy to hang out.
Give us your elevator pitch. Why are you running for Congress? And what do you stand for in, I don't know, a minute or so?
Well, you know, what my pitch would be is, since I got into this race and when I was thinking about getting into running for Congress, everyone always told me, like, oh, this is going to be hard. You know, this is hard work. This is hard work. You're running against Devin Nunes. That's going to be hard. And they really didn't know who I was. You know, I'm not allergic to hard work. I'm from Bakersfield, from the Central Valley. Hard work is in our DNA. And so when I think about all my life experiences, you know, I had a single mother growing up who I remember coming downstairs at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. She's doing her homework, going to JC to give her kids a better life. She was valedictorian of her class. That's hard work. Her kids going on to graduate from high school, to graduate from college with honors. That's hard work. Saving up to buy a first house. That's hard work. And so what I decided to run, it was like one of these things where I'm looking around. You know, we had 4 years of this extreme division in this country with the previous president. We've lost, 700,000 people for our friends and neighbors with COVID. And we're seeing stuff going on with insurrections and things like that. And I think we are finally waking up to what the stakes are in these elections.
Come on, it was a guided tour.
The Q shaman got 3 years of it, but we've woken up to what the stakes are in this election.
3 years of organic eggs and no carcinogens whatsoever.
You know, mommy's cooking, no more mommy's cooking. But we understand what the stakes are when people or kids are growing up in unsafe neighborhoods, so they don't have those opportunities. That's hard work, but that's work that we can do. When losing our democracy is on the line, we realize that's not an option. We got to step up to the plate and do hard work. So for me, answering the question of who should the government work for, it's a very simple answer. A government made up of the people and by the people should work for the people.
Yes.
Sounds kind of deep statey to me. So you're a communist, right?
I am I actually don't know what I would call myself. I guess I'm a freelance, a socially responsible capitalist, I guess. Because I still like making money. I make money myself. You know, everybody's got a side hustle. But I just think there's like a minimum. Basically, my platform is this. All the basic crap that people get if they're born in Canada or they're born in the UK or France or all these other places, the baseline of being a part of the society, that Americans should have that too in the greatest country on earth.
So what is your stance on universal health care, single payer health care? Like I know that there's many names. It goes by many names, but what is your vision for healthcare in the United States of America?
You know, I used to be a retirement counselor for the state of California, and we talked a lot to folks about, what their health plans entail when they retire and they're getting up to Medicare age. Because as state employees, you get health benefits for life if you work a certain number of years, in addition to supplement Medicare. So that would be probably my ideal, is that everybody has a version of Medicare where there's a baseline of coverage, and those folks that want to have a Cadillac plan or, this or that extra coverage, they can choose to buy that. But everybody has a baseline of coverage. And since I started getting into this race and started paying a lot more attention to what people are saying and the words that come out of their mouth when they talk around healthcare. I hear a lot of the people talk
Say
about
that. You got to say that
access.
again in your Chris Tucker voice.
Come on, man.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
They always talk about access to healthcare, which I think is annoying because technically a homeless person on the street has access to healthcare through the emergency room. We all have access to healthcare, but there's not a platform or a basis to deliver that care to people in an affordable manner. And so I've kind of started to differentiate myself from people that say, oh yeah, everyone should have access to healthcare, and pressing them on the point, but like, what do you mean by that?
Right.
Because I'm from sitting at a point where it's like universal coverage, single payer, universal healthcare is the way to go. I'm an analyst for the Water Resources Control Board as an ops manager. So I'm looking at data all day. What does the data tell me? And when you talk about data in these things, a single payer healthcare system, there's a reason why of the 190 something sovereign countries around the world, a great majority of them have a single payer system. And I've had to try to understand where people are coming from. So when it comes to being a black person, a black candidate in this race, the question of defunding the police is always the gotcha question.
Got him.
Yeah.
Well, here, hold on. Mikey has a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, can we start taxing the church?
You know, if you're gonna chant "Let's go, Brandon" in a church, you probably should be paying some taxes.
Yeah.
I just, I can't even have a thing in my own church because they're very worried about, hey, we love you, Lourin. Glad you're a member, but
that's what we do. Yeah.
we gotta invite everybody. If you're gonna come and speak, we gotta invite everybody and this and that. Even Nunez, we don't like him, but we gotta have him out here.
Is here in California, we have a lot of liberal cities that constantly allocate land and pass initiatives and referendums for affordable housing. But what ends up happening is, and the Times did an interesting piece on this the other day, that like even in, I think it was Paso Robles or something. It wasn't Paso Robles. It was somewhere down in the LA area. And then this happened recently, and it's happened a few times up in San Francisco, where they'll allocate space for affordable housing in a development that is mostly going to be single family homes. And then the single family homes, who are supposed liberals, the administrations there, like the public, the board or whatever, I don't even know what they call them, the housing authority
HOA?
there.
Yeah.
It's not always just HOAs. It could be just the community zoning authority or whatever the case may be. They then go ahead and say, they go ahead and they say, well, if we want to keep our neighborhood nice, we have, and one guy literally said, we have the heart to do it, but we don't want to devalue the homes in our neighborhood. So all this fucking affordable housing, these initiatives and these referendums, they get passed, they get supported, but then no particular neighborhood wants the affordable housing in their neighborhood.
Not in my yard.
Yep. No,
How do
Boulder
we-
does that too.
Yeah, that happens
how
in
do we-
Connecticut too.
Or you know what?
Well, tell us what you would do to make that,
city
to help
councils
get that
do
through,
that,
brother.
do that as well, and it's not only like citizen commissions, but also like county boards that we've designated this land. I think it happened in Southern California again. Designated these 3 sites for affordable housing, but there's a luxury developer that also has targeted the same 3 sites. Gosh,
Cough, cough, corporate Democrats, cough, cough.
That, yeah, I think bottom line, this is going to be really odd to say as a Democrat, is that we have a little too much regulation in what could be designated for zoning for single family homes and make it affordable single family homes. The sad part about it is It is not something that is profitable, so there will not be a market motive to do it, to build
Right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody can't get
And
rich off of it, so
exactly.
why?
So in the absence of, this is like why one of the tenets of my platform is like a federal jobs program. In the absence of a market for said things, when the market can't fill that need, the government has to.
Where do you stand on ranked choice voting?
I think ranked choice is better than our current model, but I've been getting into like star and some of these other methods of voting that I think are probably a little bit more representative, because there's still some ways for candidates that don't have what am I gonna call it, the sizzle, the pop, the backing, to still win an election in something like a star method voting.
Yeah, because
I'll
we'll
ask
use
a
that as a
different
segue.
question. All right.
I want Mikey to get
I'm a
another
Dodgers
question.
fan and a Lakers fan, if you're asking.
No,
what's
that's
up
the easy
here's
question.
here's my question. What's up with your Lakers?
We got the injury bug early.
You got
'cause
Westbrook. That's your problem.
you're probably going to get this a bunch in your campaign because it's becoming a big thing. What is your thought on education and the teaching of not critical race theory, but the teaching of race in education? And how would you respond to all of the critical race theory nonsense that's going on right now with Republicans?
So I answer this question about education and the model of education um, in terms of economics. Used to be that, a person like my father or my grandfather could, graduate from high school, get a job, could afford a 2-story house with one parent staying at home raising the kids, and you have 3 kids, and that was fine. The moment that became economically impossible, where we started having the need for 2-income houses, where now both parents have to work for the household to function and survive, was the moment that we asked schools to not only teach our students, but to raise them with the values that the parents were supposed to do. That's their job. And so when it comes to like people and especially the school system, I was at a school board meeting on Wednesday for my daughter's school, and a lot of the vitriol that came out in the Virginia races was there present at my daughter's school board meeting, talking about critical race theory. And it was really funny because like the lady was talking about it, and I was like, oh man, she's making my own point, because she talked about, well, I don't like my kid learning that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson had slaves and they were flawed men. They made the Constitution. That's not right. We're American.
They are gods,
like,
sir. Gods.
In that Constitution, it says, in order to form a more perfect union, not the perfect union. So yes, they're flawed men. They are men. Flaws implied. But the moment we started expecting schools to not only teach but to raise our kids and have those values that we share, is the moment that teaching became this taboo subject to have, and people are questioning the books that are in classrooms and things like that in this board meeting. But I think to myself, I'm a person that supports freedom. I like freedom. So you have the freedom to teach your kids whatever you want at home. You could take them out of school, put them in whatever private school you want to pay for. You can teach them at home. You can homeschool them. You have the freedom to do that. But when they are at a public school, they are learning things that society needs them to learn, not what you want them to learn. So if you want them to learn something, you can do it on your own time. Ideally, you want a representative that's in touch with the community that they're serving, right? Mm-hmm. And that community is like here, in our district, Tulare County is one of the poorest counties, not only in California, but in the country. I have
Yeah.
a poverty rate of like 20%. So if we're running to represent that district and you have to raise a certain amount of money and ideally you want it to come from that district, a lot of people there, hey, I love you, Lourin. I love what you're doing. I see you out at the, you're giving away hats and coats and stuff, and you bring your kids in for the feed every month. But I got $5.
And the $5 is a lot to that person, right? Like, it matters,
I needed that $5.
Yeah, they got to pay their healthcare deductibles.
right?
All right, so we'll
Wait, I
before we get
remembered.
to the. Oh, go ahead.
And Lauren, what is your stance on something like it doesn't have to be exactly a UBI, but something like a universal basic income to alongside with a single payer healthcare?
So I think that we already have a version of UBI that's a subsidy for food right now. There's a reason the Department of Agriculture runs the CalFresh and food stamp program. I would totally love it and I think I would get bipartisan support for it, to have the food stamp program not be means tested, that everyone just gets food stamps.
I like that.
And that way you have so it guarantees that no one's going hungry. And then that way you can use that money you can use your actual money for other things. And it's kind of a way to get the boo birds that are like, oh, I don't want them to spend money on alcohol and drugs, to say, well, they can only buy food. Are we against that? We say we're against people, not going hungry in our communities.
I think that would be interesting in overcoming the objection. I think that it's an interesting thought. I don't think it's the same as UBI, but I do think that it would be interesting at overcoming the objection that we get.
All on those lines. 40-something thousand veterans are homeless.
Yep, and that's
I was just in
problematic.
Washington in September and went to the Vietnam Memorial, and that was the first time I'd ever seen it. And there's a gentleman out there. He's was a Vietnam veteran, and he spends his day talking about, there's 58,000 people that died in Vietnam, and this is, I just want to. He's out there to tell people his friend's story, and I'm like, damn. And I was talking to this guy, and we gave him a couple bucks because he's, in need of it. He's a veteran, and I was like, man, can't you go to the VA to get the stuff that you need for your health and stuff? He said, I can't. They said whatever was wrong with me in that time is done, and can't get help. I can't get the mental health care that I need.
My buddy deployed. He got back in 2013 or 14, and it took him almost. No, it had to be earlier than that. He must have got like 2010 he got back. But it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago that he finally started getting his shit from the VA, and they just cut him a fat check. And it's like, bro, he was wiling the fuck out, like, because his PTSD was so bad. Like, you cannot make someone wait 5 years and say, well, I'll just write you a retrograde or retroactive payment here. Here, take this. That'll make up for what happened. I was like, he's lucky to have made it. Like, we had to send people to his house. Like, shit was bad. And it's a little too late, I think, a lot of time for the vets. And my policy on veterans is, if you don't want to take care of the fucking veterans you have, maybe stop going to fucking war every fucking 6 months. And then maybe you won't have this problem. Yeah.
Right. So real quick.
So basically, if you believe in all those things, go to lourinhubbard.com. We need volunteers. We need donations.
You just did exactly what I was going to ask you to do. So I'm
a candidate now. I'm seasoned now.
I'm not new at this.
Lourinhubbard.com. Need donations. Need volunteers.
How can people find you on Twitter, Instagram? I'll give out those as well.
Twitter and Instagram. It's at Lourin Hubbard, LourinHubbard.